Hello, my name is Kate King, and I am the author of the psychology self help book, The Radiant Life Project. This book is about awakening your purpose, healing your past, and transforming your future. Thank you so much to the Boulder Bookstore for this interview. I am thrilled to talk about this book and answer your questions today. So, the way that the Radiant Life Project works, with the word project intentionally included in the title, is this is a self-healing manual. It's a strategy that is based on my over 17 years as a licensed professional counselor and a board-certified art therapist, as well as a private practice clinician trained in many different modalities. This is sort of my eclectic blend of all the therapeutic modalities I've been trained in, also all of the different modalities I have used personally for my own trauma healing and my personal growth journey. So I have not only worked with this method and this approach with clients, but I have also practiced it personally, which is why I know it works and how I was able to write it in this succinct format for readers who are really ready for that next level of growth and healing and inner repair. So the work covers everything from trauma healing to working with your thoughts to identifying ancestral healing and lineage burdens you might be carrying that are really not yours to carry. It also moves into the territory of Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist psychology based on my training at Naropa University in Boulder in meditation, mindfulness, and transpersonal psychology. So there's some really interesting stories in there from Buddhist philosophy that bring a spiritual quality to this work. To counterbalance that, I also include different practices from neuroscience and different brain sciences that help to connect the physiological response to trauma and stress and mental health in the body so that you can really understand how the experiences that you've gone through in your life affect you in a holistic way. Your mind, your heart, your body, your emotions, your energy level, it's all very connected. And I talk about this through a pretty succinct description of the nervous system and some of the happenings inside of your brain related to mental health. As an art therapist, I also include a discussion of art therapy and creativity, especially for those among us who might not identify as artists, but who might be open to including a creative or expressive process into their healing because it opens up new doors into the unconscious. It also connects us to different levels of ourselves that we cannot access through talking alone. And throughout the entire book, I include what I call offerings. These are experiential practices that you can do in real time in your personal life to bring this work of the Radiant Life Project into your own healing and sort of processing journey. So the offerings are often art therapy exercises. Sometimes they're creative journaling prompts or somatic experiences that help you get into your body and navigate this work in a really personalized way that often sparks some creative insight inside of you. My expertise as a licensed therapist and a board certified art therapist allows me to approach this work from a clinical understanding that is very research based. It pulls from science, from psychology, from methods such as internal family systems therapy, which is taking the world by storm these days in its popularity, and it's my personal favorite method for working with the inner aspects of ourselves that might be unhealed and ready for repair. So I do give a pretty thorough discussion of internal family systems, abbreviated as IFS, as well as other therapeutic modalities that could be of use to you that are sourced from my clinical training. Many books these days are written from the perspective of life coaches, and I think my work is different because of my clinical background and my experience working from these researched, evidence-based perspectives. I also bring the experience of my personal life, my own healing journey, and 30 plus years of my inner work that has contributed to not only understanding learning these concepts theoretically, but living them experientially. And I think when you learn from someone who is teaching from an experiential place, it just feels different. It has a little bit more of that kind of depth and gravity of lived experience. So I think it's a really good combination for both the clinical experience and the personal experience that was fueled into this book. So I'd like to share one of the practical tools. This is one of the offerings that I offer on page 77 of my book. It does include the internal family systems approach that I referenced earlier. So just a short background on internal family systems. It's about the system inside of yourself that involves the many parts of you that may have fractaled off during life when you encounter difficult experiences or challenges that felt unsafe and sort of raised your awareness and your guards. So this is like the inner child that might be wounded, the perfectionist part of us. Many people have the people-pleasing part. There might be a part of you that acts out aggressively. There might be a part of you that performs and behaves in inauthentic or disingenuous ways when you feel like you have to protect something vulnerable inside of yourself. So this can sometimes be referred to as parts psychology, which is interchangeable with internal family systems. And in addition to all these parts of ourselves, there also exists a true self. And the true self is based on essential qualities like compassion and curiosity, creativity and clarity. And the name of the game with IFS is bringing yourself back to that wise, compassionate self so that you don't get flooded by the energy of your parts that may be trying to protect you, but aren't really the essence of who you are. So on page 77, I share an offering, and I will read it to you. In your journal, write about an experience when one of your parts was driving the bus. If you're feeling artsy, create an image of a school bus being driven by one of your parts. It might look like a child. The part doesn't need to look like you or even be highly specific. If you can find congruence with the energetics of this part through line, color, or shape, that's enough. Perhaps your school bus is being driven by a wild minion or a red triangle with steam emanating from it, or a sketch-like stick figure of yourself at age 4. So this will help you to identify the part of yourself, one of the many parts, and there's nothing wrong with having parts. We all have them. It's about reintegrating and healing them. So this helps you identify what one of your dominant parts might be. Think about a time where recently you flew off the handle, or you lacked patience, or you had some regret about the way you showed up or the words you used. That's likely one of your parts that was carrying a lot of fueled energy, trying to protect you in the moment. So creating the image or the journal experience of the school bus can be really helpful and also really fun to identify and work with some of your parts. So I want to talk about some of the other books that I have read recently, because reading is also one of my hobbies. I love it so much. I read both for fun, for pleasure, and also for learning. One book that I have really, really enjoyed lately is The Hidden Power of the Five Hearts. It's by Kimberly Snyder, and it studies the research from the HeartMath Institute and the science of coherence when it comes to heart-brain coherence, that we're actually here to support the intelligence of our heart, and our mind has been given so much power in Western culture, but really our mind should be in the service of our heart, which is where so much of our intelligence lives. Another book that I would love to recommend is this book, Your Brain on Art, by Susan Magsamen and Ivy Ross. For those of you who are interested in creativity and art therapy, this book is an incredible resource that is backed by science. It's evidence-based, and it talks about how art can be really powerful to soothe and shift and help your brain heal and grow and contribute to your mental health process in a deeply meaningful way. So I encourage both of those two books. I support them. I read them both, and I loved them. Now, back to my book. I am just still so thrilled to be able to share the Radiant Life Project with you. I feel like we are in a time right now in our world where there is so much need. There's so much desire for healing. There's desire for growth. People are stressed, and we're living in a really divided, kind of negatively fueled culture these days. So it is my intention with this book that if we can each access healing within ourselves, if we can identify trauma or barriers to our own mental health and our highest expression in life and heal those wounds, then we can bring a healthier version of ourselves into society. And that is how we change the world from the inside out. When we do our own work and we plug ourselves back into the collective from a healthier, more conscious, more compassionate, and attuned state, we are positively contributing to the collective in ways that can actually make a huge ripple effect. So my book is an invitation to dive in, to do the inner work that is ready to be navigated, to heal the parts of yourself that maybe you've known have been there for a long time. Maybe you've explored some of them in therapy or in coaching or even in a self-reflective process, and now you're ready for that deeper next level. I hope that my book, The Radiant Life Project, can support you as you move into the next step of your journey and can help to facilitate deeper understanding of who you are, of where you come from, and of how you can move forward with greater health and wellness and holistic awareness of your potential intact. Now, I was asked by the Boulder Bookstore to read a short passage from my book here, so I would like to read to you a passage about resiliency and grit and some of our misconceptions about resiliency and grit. This is on page 37. Resiliency and grit are two concepts that are embedded in societal messages that preach who and how we're supposed to be to achieve a meaningful life. These qualities, like all others, exist on a continuum and are not binary. I like to apply my shadow side, sunny side approach when talking about resiliency and grit because of their dynamism and complexity. On the sunny side, resiliency and grit keep us going when the going gets tough. They propel us through adversity and hardship, and they help us prove to ourselves and others that we are capable of unimaginably more than we previously thought. Sounds positive, right? In Western culture, the sunny side is the only side we're ever exposed to on this topic until we find ourselves undeniably equipped with a fried nervous system. You see, the belief that we must continuously endure discomfort when life seems to be endlessly laced with hardship only serves to obscure our human limitations. The overarching message that life is supposed to be hard and there's no way around it, so buckle down and deal with it, perpetuates a dangerous pattern in our collective mindset. Buying into the self-fulfilling prophecies that life is always hard, we must always be tough, and there is no option but to continue the grind feels a lot like Sisyphus, doomed to an eternity of pushing a boulder up a mountain only to have it roll back down each time. The shadow side is that when resiliency and grit reign supreme, you're on the express train to resentment and burnout. When we praise resiliency and grit within ourselves and one another, we spread the message that ease and freedom are inaccessible, impossible luxuries we can't afford. We perpetuate the belief that tenderness and rest are bad or wrong. This only continues the relentlessness of our striving, sprinting, and autopilot numbing, which effectively keeps us apart from our authentic selves and the radiant life we deeply yearn for. We also rack up physiological and psychological challenges when our nervous systems are constantly on guard and grinding, which we discuss later in the book. The resiliency and grit are valuable tools to access for short periods of time. It's important to deactivate them as well. When we successfully unplug from the message that life is always hard and we've got no choice but to tolerate it, we prevent ourselves from becoming caged within a rigid world of survival and torment. As with most everything in life, these qualities must balance not only within ourselves, but in our outer societal and cultural systems as well. Thank you for letting me read to you. In essence, my hope for you, if you should read this book, is that you could bring a radiant life closer into your reality. And a radiant life is one where you shine from the inside out with wellness and health, with holistic, complete mind, body, soul connection. Doesn't mean life is perfect all the time, but it means that you have a strong baseline for navigating whatever life throws at you. And from the inside out, this radiant life perspective helps you emanate that glow beyond yourself and into a more productive, healthy, and mindfully based, compassionate society, which is what I think we all really want. Thank you so much, and thank you for giving my book, The Radiant Life, this interview and this time.